Hi, I'm Raj Giridharagopal. I'm a senior research scientist at the University of Washington, associated with David Ginger's lab, and I'm going to present my poster on using nanowire morphologies to improve ion uptake kinetics in organic electrochemical transistors. The general thesis behind this work is that we can take an existing organic semiconductor and by structuring it into nanowire form, enable a lot of benefits for organic electrochemical transistor applications. In this particular case, we use a conducting polymer called DPP-DTT, which is a high hole mobility conjugated polymer, and turn it into nanowires and use it in electrochemical transistors. This exhibits a number of particularly key benefits. The nanowires show faster kinetics, higher volumetric capacitance, and an energetically favorable shift in the threshold voltage. Over on the right, we can see the film here in the top compared to the fibrillar nanowire network formed at the bottom by structuring the film by mixing it with polystyrene. At the bottom, we have some conventional device measurements where the nanowires exhibit a slightly favorable shift in the threshold voltage. But more importantly is if we see this metric that's highlighted in yellow, that's the volumetric capacitance in farads per cubic centimeter. The nanowires can exhibit up to 4 times or more farads per cubic centimeter as far as the volumetric capacitance is concerned, which is a particularly key point for improving organic electrochemical transistors. That implies that a nanowire morphology can hold more charge than a conventional film. We further explore this by looking at the kinetics. In the top left, we have spectroelectrochemistry, where we look at the wavelength on the x-axis and the absorbance on the y-axis. For the nanowires on the left, compared to the film, for the same period of time, the nanowires exhibit much faster doping, as shown by this decrease in the absorbance over time, compared to the film case. And in fact, we see faster kinetics in a variety of different metrics by looking at film thickness as a function of gate voltage, excitation wavelength, or by even changing the anion from hexafluorophosphate to chlorine. From the nanowires in black are always much faster than the film. Now, to understand why this is the case, we turn to two different AFM methods. One is electrochemical strain microscopy, which lets us measure the swelling at a local level. This actually shows that the nanowires in blue exhibit much more swelling, upwards of twice as much swelling compared to the film case in red. And this is measured in situ, so actually the AFM tip is in liquid. On the right panel, we look at the photoinduced force microscopy image, which maps the chemical signatures at the nanoscale. By locking it at the PF6 signature, we can compare the nanowire with the film case. In the nanowires, we barely see any of the ions show up in the topography, but they're very obvious in the IR image, which implies that they go into the film, which is why we can see them in IR. In the film case, however, we can actually see lots of dots on the surface that correspond to the ion features, and these show up basically at the surface in the IR image. This is further confirmed when we zoom in on the nanowires. So this implies that the nanowires swell but much more in solution and that the ions go deeper into the film because they're not at the surface. That explains why they exhibit better volumetric capacitance because they operate more volumetrically, whereas a film keeps the ions mostly at the surface. So in conclusion, this is a very simple, straightforward method. By taking an existing high-performing polymer and then structuring it into nanowires, you get significant benefits in doping kinetics, volumetric capacitance, and a lower threshold voltage. And before concluding, I'd like to acknowledge the funding agency, primarily the National Science Foundation, as well as the facilities at the University of Washington and the Molecular Analysis Facility. Thank you.